Well, welcome to our Tuesday night huddle up. I am Jon Ponder. I'm the janitor at Hope for Prisoners, and I'm so glad that you guys have joined us tonight. I want to give a big shout out to our family and friends over at Nevada Department of Corrections, Casa Grande. Can we give them a big, gigantic round of applause? So glad that you guys have joined us tonight. Also, want to give a big shout out to our friends over at the City of Las Vegas Detention Center. Can we give them a big, gigantic round of applause? And while we're at it, let's keep it going for our friends over at 2J inside the Clark County Detention Center, North Valley Complex. So glad you guys have joined us tonight. Can we give them a big, gigantic round of applause? And last but not least, I want to say hello to our friends that are watching all around the world on the Hope for Prisoners Facebook Live page. I am so glad that you have joined us here tonight. We had a very exciting night as we have an incredible speaker, a subject matter expert who's going to come and share some of his insights and some leadership principles with us. And we are excited about getting ready to grow. So before we get started, I want to open it up to the room to see if there's any testimonies that you might have, something that God has done in your life. Some of you may have secured employment, but something that may have happened in your life. Chad is going to be monitoring the Hope for Business Facebook. I know we're on Zoom, so just drop those comments or those testimonies inside that chat box, and Chad is going to be monitoring. I want to open up for the folks over in Casa Grande too, and let's welcome up Mr. Carl Bond, who said he has a testimony he'd like to share with us.
Well, thank you, John. By the grace of God and a lot of help from a lot of people, I got to attend a black tie dinner for Hope for Prisoners last Wednesday, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
To watch two groups donate $2 million, watch a guy that we're familiar with, that I know, that I went to a Christian retreat up in Bryan Head with, donate 50 jobs.
Right.
The man donated 10 jobs for 5 years.
That's right.
That's outstanding. How can you not be hopeful at that? I just want to thank you for that.
Man, you're very, very welcome. Give him a big hand for that. And he's talking about our partners over at Martin, Harris Guy Martin. He said that he was going to hire 10 people, right, over the next 5 years. So that is 50 jobs. Can we give Guy Martin a big, gigantic round of applause? Man, I just love it when we have the testimonies about employment. Come on up, man. Come on. Don't be shy. Give him a big hand. Tell us who you are and what is that testimony you want to share with us tonight.
My name is James Leggett. My name is James Leggett, and I just got hired at Worldwide Produce.
Woo! Give him a hand. Outstanding. That is outstanding. Congratulations. And you got that job off of our second chance hiring event that we had right here, right? Man, that is awesome. Can you give him a big, gigantic round of applause for that? Open it up for any other testimonies, maybe over in Casa Grande, here in the room on Facebook. You raise your hand up. Come on up, man. Come on up. Give JR a big, gigantic round of applause. But he's that guy. I got to hold him right because he'll take it and start preaching a sermon or something like that.
I just want to say, give glory to God. I tell you, when I'm just still and I shut up and I listen and I wait on his voice, man, things come together. And sometimes I try to take them back, because, in the natural, we want to just jump up and go boom, 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 and get things done on our time, his time. He's just putting things together for me that I'm seeing the whole picture, but I'm still taking back and taking a deep breath. And I just got to tell you, Saturday I got blessed. I got a call from a local celebrity here in town, and he was telling me that he knew I was doing well, and he was proud of me. It meant a lot to me. I don't know who it was, but I think he was impersonating Jon Ponder.
Right.
But what a great, not a program, but a family this is. It's helped me out a lot. So I just want to say thank you, brother. God bless you, bro.
Give JR a big, gigantic hand. And I don't want him to sell me short. I'm not like a local celebrity. I am global. I'm just kidding. I just made that up. Hey, listen, we're going to go ahead and get things underway. Man, I'm sorry. We got somebody over in Casa Grande. Step up, tell us your name, and what is that testimony you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, my name's Frederick Jenkins. I just started culinary school on Monday, and I just want to thank God for that, and thank also Hope for Prisoners.
Man, give him a big hand for that. That is outstanding. We got some great vocational training opportunities that are going to be happening inside Nevada Department of Corrections tomorrow. but we'll talk about that a little later on. Yes, ma'am. Come on up. You can always thank God. Give her a hand. Tell us your name and what is that? What do you want to thank God for? You can shake my hand. But what I want you to look over there in the camera right there so everybody can see.
Cool. Hi, my name is Lily Allen. I love God. I am so thankful for God for every good and bad thing in my life ever. It's led me here. I'm very thankful. I was in a pretty bad place and I was praying very, very, very hard. And I met Michael, which is rather why I'm here. I've gotten like a living residence. I've gotten I'm way out of the grave I've dug myself. You know, I'm like way far out of it. I'm here. It's so wonderful. I'm so thankful for God and listening to prayers and whatnot.
That is so good. Can you give her a big, gigantic round of applause? She says she's so thankful for God. She surrendered everything to God. We heard that surrender with JR. So you surrender everything over to God, and He will absolutely 100% take care of that. So we got an exciting speaker here tonight. He's a person that is doing some incredible things throughout our country. I'm going to read his bio in a minute, but before we do, if we can just bow our heads in prayer. So, Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening in the name of Jesus, God. We just want to say thank you, God. We've heard it in this room that we're so thankful for you. We're thankful for everything you've done, the things that you do, and God, all those things that you work in the intricate details of our life that we have no idea that you're working out for our good. God, we invite you in the midst of this huddle up and ask that you be here as we huddle up with you. We lift up our speaker, Cardell Sims, to you, God. We thank you for everything that you worked inside his life. God, now we just ask that you open up heavens over his life as he speaks to us. God, give us ears to hear the testimony that you have worked out in his life. We'll be careful to give you all the praise and all the glory and all the honor. In Jesus' magnificent name, we say amen. All right, I want everybody to say, get ready. Get ready. No, you say it like you mean it. Say, get ready. Get ready. And then say, this is going to be good. All right. So it gives me an honor and privilege to introduce you to our speaker this night. His name is Cardell Sims. Cardell Sims has taken his life and turned it around. From being formerly incarcerated to guide others to break free from a path of self-destruction. From an early age, Cardell had the odds against him, spending much of his early years involved with the law. Cardell came from a background with heavy influence of drugs and addiction, and first got involved at the age of 15. He would later spend time in and out of the system. However, doing state and federal prison time, Cardell walked out of those gates with a blueprint that he put together while he was incarcerated. Inmate to inspiration is his story. His journey as he shares with you valuable information that he learned and applied to free himself from his own destruction, not letting the limitations of his background reduce the heights of his potential. Cardell outgrew what he was born into. Since then, Cardell has used his story to be a life coach for others, focusing much of his efforts on reentry and prison prevention. Cardell has been an inspiration for those who have been handed life's hardships. Cardell overcame poverty, overcame gangs and prison to become a national speaker, a 7-time author, a master certified empowerment coach, and a reentry consultant. He's the founder of the Inside Reentry Academy and the host of the Reentry Journey podcast. If you guys would please put your hands together and welcome to the Hope for Prisoners Huddle Up, Mr. Cardell Sims. Cardell, welcome to the Huddle Up. Let's try one more time. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for having me. It really means a lot.
Absolutely. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, okay. Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah, my name is Cardell Sims. I'm the owner of Inside Reentry Academy, formerly incarcerated. The Reentry Academy is based on these two factors. The reason I call it on the Inside Reentry Academy. These two factors that I know for a fact. It starts on the inside of the prison and on the inside of self. So I put this reentry program based on them two things: one inside of prison and helping those make a personal development change within themselves. I run help create a vision for themselves through vision boards. Address everything that's the person, the learning style, to your personality traits, just your attitude, your goals, wants, and needs. So I run these programs inside of prison in Missouri. I virtually run a program inside prison in Arizona. But before I get into myself, I want to tell you a couple of stories that coincides and fits with inside reentry academy.
Cardell,
The
can I
first
interrupt
story-
just 1 second, Cardell?
Yeah.
I think it's the internet on your side. It's like a little bit choppy. I don't know if there's some kind of adjustments that you can make with your internet. And I apologize for interrupting there, but I don't want to miss anything you got to say. You want to try that?
You say things. What was that?
All right, you want to try that? Your internet was a little choppy. Okay, try it. Try now.
Okay, what about now?
That's a little bit better. Just stay right there. Don't move.
So just let me know if it's still choppy or anything, and I will change the devices if I need to.
Okay.
Yes. So I have two stories that represent what on the Inside Reentry Academy stands for. The first story, I heard a mentor, a friend of mine who was formerly incarcerated, tell the story, and it was about this boy who was getting in trouble in school. And so when he got home, his dad told him, "Look here, I need you to turn in all your electronics. I need your phone, I need your laptop, I need your video games. I need you to turn them all in to me. You got to do something more constructive with your time because you're getting in trouble in school. You're not paying attention. You're a class clown." And the child's at the age where he don't really know the difference between constructive and construction. And so he's thinking that Pop's finna have me out here doing some heavy utility work. And his dad said, "No, I'm not finna have you. I'm talking about being constructive, doing something more productive with your time than playing video games and all on social media." And so he has his son sit down at the dining room table. The father gets in his car and he goes to Toys R Us. So when he walks in Toys R Us, he sees the guy standing there. He said, "Hey, can you point me to where your puzzles is at?" The guy tells him, "Man, they down at aisle 6. So the father walks down to aisle 6. He gets the puzzle aisle. And when he's walking down the puzzle aisle, he's looking for these puzzles. So the first puzzle he runs across is a puzzle of a lion, tiger, and a bear. And he's like, "No, that's going to be a little bit too easy for him to do." So he walked down a little bit more. He looked up. He seen another puzzle, and it was a prehistoric puzzle. It had the dinosaur that does the flying on it. It had the pterodactyl on it. And he said, "No, that's going to be a little bit easy as well." So he walked down. As he got toward the end of the aisle, he looked up and he seen this puzzle of the world. He said, "That's the puzzle. That's the one." So he grabs the puzzle. He goes pay for the puzzle, and he walks out Toys R Us, and he heads home. And he's thinking, yeah, it's going to take him a few months to put this puzzle together, and that's enough time for a punishment for him getting in trouble and everything in school. So the father gets home, son sitting there at the dining room table. Father walks in there with the puzzle. He sets the puzzle down on the table. He says, "Look here, I want you to do this puzzle. Once you put this puzzle together, you can get all your electronics back and everything that you need." Sitting there, his face is powdered. He got his arm frown. He's really upset. He grabs a puzzle box. He starts ripping the plastic off of it. He takes the top off the puzzle box, and he starts just filling the puzzle pieces. You know, on the back of the puzzle pieces is made of cardboard. So he flips over the puzzle pieces out the box, and as he flips over, he notices on the back side of the puzzle, it looked like something that appeared to kind of look like an eye. So he starts flipping all these puzzle pieces over. Then he sees something that kind of looked like a finger. Then he sees something that kind of looked like a shoe. So he starts putting these puzzle pieces together backwards. And then after about 3 hours, he's done with the puzzle. He takes the bottom of the puzzle box, flattens it down, slides it up under the puzzle, flips the puzzle over, mats the puzzle down. There it is, the world together. He's happy. He runs in the room. He tells his dad, he says, Dad, I'm done with the puzzle. Come and look. The father don't believe him. He says, man, don't play with me. If I have to get up out this bed from watching the game and you're not done with this puzzle, it might be a problem. He says, no, for real, Dad, I'm done with the puzzle. So the father gets up. He runs in the dining room. There it is, the puzzle, the world put together. The father is happy. He's smiling. He grabs his son up, gives him a hug. He says, now I got to call and tell everybody about this. This is crazy how you put this puzzle together so fast. And then he asks the son, he says, well, how did you put the puzzle together so fast? And the son said, well, Dad, on the back side of the puzzle was a man. And when I put the man together, the world came together. And that's just one fraction of what on the inside represents. Putting the pieces together so you can put the man together, or we can put the person together. I tell that story because that truly is what I represent. Helping those on the inside put the pieces to the puzzle together so their world can come together. And the reason why I chose on the inside is this is a funny story that coincides with how you can do anything and how it starts on the inside. We know that reentry starts the first day of incarceration. The first day you get locked up, we should be preparing for their release. A person should be preparing for their release. The whole system should be preparing for their release. And so this story goes, I call it the potato garden. It's the old man. It's time for him to spade for his potato garden. It's time for him to start. It's the season for him to get out there and spade the ground and start planting his potatoes for his potato garden. But the problem is he's gotten up in age and he can't be out there digging the ground and getting on his knees and doing all that. And the only son that he had is incarcerated. And so he sit back and wrote a letter to the son. It said, dear son, it's about time for me to start planting the potato garden. And Pops is getting too old to be out here digging in the ground and getting now on down on my hands and he's doing all that, and I know if you was here, you would help me out like you do every year. And I really feel bad because your mother loves when I plant the potato garden. And he signed it, Love, Dad. He sent the letter to the son. A couple of days later, the son gets the letter. The son reads the letter. He's reading it. While he's reading it, he's shaking his head. So after he gets done reading the letter, he writes the father a letter back. Says, dear Dad, don't go out there in the back digging up that backyard because that's where I hid the guns and drugs at. Love, son. And he wrote guns and drugs real big in the letter. So he sends the letter off. A couple of days later, father gets the letter. He's reading the letter. While he's reading the letter, the local sheriff, the local police department, the federal government, ATF, everybody, they kick in his house. They ransack his house, tear his house up. They go out to the backyard. They tear the backyard up. They don't find no guns. They don't find no drugs. Pops don't know what's going on. Pops is tripping. Pops like, man, what's happening? What's going on? So he sit back. He writes a letter to the son, telling the son what had happened, right? So the son reads the letter. He writes another letter back to the pops. When the pops get the letter, the son say, Pops, go ahead and plant the potatoes. That's the best I can do from in here. And that just represents, how you can do things and start working on from the inside of in prison. That we don't have to use no excuses or none of that. So that's what the two factors that my program is based off of on the Inside Reentry Academy. The fact that reentry starts on the inside of self, with personal development, and also inside of prison, inside the institution, the day we first get arrested. My story is simply this. My name is Cardell Sims, like I said. I grew up in the poverty neighborhood. I grew up in the project in town called Stadium, Missouri. I'm from Stadium, Missouri. I grew up in the projects. It was in the poverty neighborhood. The house I grew up in the projects, someone who was on alcohol, they was on drugs. And it was just a system like that as I got older. But I learned how to hustle at an early age. By the time I was in the third grade, we used to have to walk to grade school, and there was a Lay's potato chip company and they used to always keep their garage door open. And so this would be really the first time that I started really engaging in criminal activities. They would leave their garage door open, and we would run in there, steal bags of chips, go on to school, put them in our book bags, go to school, sell chips for like a quarter, stuff like that. And this is when I learned how to really start hustling. So by the time I became a teenager, I became involved in gangs and people that was hanging out with people that was selling drugs. And at the same time, my mother got hooked on crack. And so I was growing up with my mother hooked on crack. And my mother is nothing but 16 years older than me. And I have an older sister that's a couple years older than me. So my mother was young at this age. And so while she was going through her phases out there in the streets and using crack and her addiction, I was hanging out with people that was involved in gangs and that I grew up with that had dropped out of school and started selling drugs. And also I was playing basketball. I was a good basketball player at this time. So I had a lot of coaches come picking me up in the summertime to go to basketball camps and things of that nature. And by the time I was 15 and 16 years old, I caught a first degree assault. And I sat in juvenile, first degree assault and attempted murder. I sat in juvenile for about 5 months. And while I was going through the court proceedings, the basketball coaches came and spoke on my behalf to explain my living situation and things that my mother and them was going through. And I got put in foster home with stipulations that I had to graduate high school. And so I was put in one foster home. It didn't work out. It was right back in the neighborhood. They was family members. They didn't get along with my mom and them. It was just too much going on. So they got me out of the foster home. And then I got put in another foster home. And the foster home I was put into, I knew the guy. He was the AAU coach. He was coaching kids in the neighborhood. He took me in. And I ended up graduating high school and getting a basketball scholarship, but I still had this mentality that I was a product of my environment. I always felt like I needed to be in the projects or in the hood environment and stuff like that. So while I was in college, I was playing basketball and stuff like that, but I would find myself in the hood, end up selling drugs and getting involved in more and more in the gangs. And that was just my college life. No matter where I went, I played college ball. Then I transferred to another school from Missouri down to Georgia, and I'm still doing the same thing. So after 4 years of college basketball, I didn't graduate. As soon as the basketball season was over, I dropped out of college and got full-fledged in the streets. And so within 1 year of that, I had caught my first drug case. I sat in the county jail for 6 months fighting the drug case. I got probation. As soon as I got probation, I got out and went right back to the same thing. In our environment, when you get probation, you feel like you beat a case. That's kind of feel like what I did. Oh man, I just beat that case. I ain't got nothing but a little bit of probation. And I went right back to doing the same thing. Went right back to the block, right back with the gang, selling drugs. And within 6 months, I caught another drug and gun case. Now, and I'm feeling cocky now because I got probation on the other case. And so I ended up taking that case to trial and I lost. And I got sentenced with a 7-year sentence and a 12-year sentence running consecutively, totaling 19 years. And I got sentenced to the Missouri Department of Correction at 23 years old with a 19-year sentence. So when I go to Missouri Department of Correction, I did through that whole time was just jail, what we called it. I played basketball, and this was in the early 2000s. So I was playing basketball, talking about which rapper had the most money, stories of Redneck King, what my block was out there doing, and all that fighting and all that. And so before I know it, a Senate bill passed to cut my time down on the mandatory sentence on the drugs sentence. And so I was up for immediate parole. And so when I walked in the parole hearing, it was like the fastest parole hearing in history. I walked in, I stood in front of the parole board. They said, Mr. Sims, you are part of the problem. You got a few more years with us. What do you think about institutional behavior and drug treatment? And my criminal mentality knew, get in, the earlier you get in there, the earlier you get out from your out date. So I told him I'd take the treatment. I ended up going to the treatment, getting out early, went right back to the same neighborhood, same block, same gang, start hustling the same drugs and doing the same thing. And then within 2 years, I caught another drug case. They violated my parole. I was sitting in the county fighting the drug case, and I beat the drug case on the technicality. And then I was released after about 6 months. When I got out, I was right back to the same neighborhood, same block, same gang, same drug, same results. Called another drug case. And during this time, in this process, the gang I was in, the gang I was part of, and we was in gang war with some other guys. So it was some shootings and murder and some murders that occurred. And so they violated. We would take pictures and be all on social media. So I got violated for association because I'm the only one from my block that was going in and out of prison and going through what I was going through. And so they violated us for association. So I went back to prison for another 6 months. I get out, I go right back to the same neighborhood, same gang, same block. Start selling the same drugs. Before you know it, the federal government came and picked me, 31 other people up for conspiracy charges and gang activity. And I'm standing in the federal courtroom, and they was handing us these indictment papers. They had our charges, the time that we was facing it, and everything. And I really wasn't focused on the time because I've seen these numbers before. I faced these numbers before. What caught my attention was at the top of the paper that they gave me said, the United States of America versus Cardell Sims, or Cardell Sims versus the United States of America. And it was just something about that. Here I was, 34 years old. I just did almost all my 20s in prison, and going into my 30s. In the beginning of the 30s, I'm being in and out of prison. And here it is, I'm 34, 35 years old with a fresh federal bid. And I just asked myself, why I keep finding myself in these situations? And the only answer I came up with was, it was myself. That's the only answer I came up with. Like, you keep putting yourself in these situations. The judges change, the charges change, the prosecutors change, the cases change, but you're the one that's in the middle of it. And so from that point on, right then and there, I made a silent oath to myself that I was going to be better whenever I got out than I was at that point standing there with that indictment paper. And so I get into the federal holdover. So when I file my case, I just having people send in books, and I'm doing a lot of reading, knowledge of self, science of self, how to hustle to win, seed of the soul, rich dad, poor dad, contagious, super rich. I started reading a lot of books, how to set goals, and I would take notes because I knew I couldn't leave out that facility with them books. So every book I read, I would take notes. And then after reading so many books, and I quit reading the hood novels. And I was just like, man, I think I could write books. So I just started writing little novels, and I would pass them around the jail and people would like it. So then once I got my sentence, I went to Leavenworth USP. So when I was in Leavenworth USP, they had this class called Consciousness and Success. And in this class, it taught me about vision boards and affirmation. I already had a regimen where I was learning, and taking all these notes and getting ideas of what I want to do when I got out. But when I got in this class, it taught me about how to put this in vision, in the vision board. Then it taught me about affirmations. I never knew nothing about affirmations or vision board. And I had one affirmation from that point on that I said every day. And it took me like 6 months to have faith in it. And the reason why I say faith is because it's the difference between belief and faith. Belief is perhaps what we think is the truth. Faith is what we know to be the truth. And so for 6 months, it took me 6 months to get out that belief phase that I think I was greater, because the affirmation that I said was, I am greater than the situation that I'm in. As soon as I woke up in the morning, I said, thank you. Before my feet hit the ground, I would say, I'm greater than the situation that I'm in. And it took me about 6 to 7 months before I knew. I woke up with faith that I was greater than the situation that I'm in. So during this time, I'm just putting things on my vision board, back my vision out what I want my life to look like after incarceration. And every day I would wake up, look at my vision board and pick something off there. And I go to the library, I'll find somebody with a book about it, and I would take all the information. I wanted to know how to start a business. I wanted to become a life coach. I wanted to become a speaker. I wanted to get married. So I needed to know how to, conduct myself in the way that I needed to be conducted. I woke up every day with expectations. And so then I was released. When I was released, I just had them 4 brown legal folders, that we'd be in the law library with. I had them filled up with the plans, the goals, the ideas, all the information, and I was sent to a halfway house. So when I was in the halfway house, I walked in there. They gave me a bus pass. I Before I was the type of person say, man, I ain't never ride no bus, so I ain't gonna never work here. I ain't gonna never do that. At this time, I was like, it didn't make me no different. So they gave me a bus pass and they gave me a list of jobs. I knew I wanted to be a speaker. So when I was looking on that list of jobs, I was finding something that can help me become a better speaker. I just didn't want to take any jobs, because what happened with me previously was every time I got out of prison, it just took any job that I didn't like, it didn't fit me, I would quit in 1 to 2 weeks. And then if I go get another job and it didn't fit me, I would quit just on the fact that I'm just taking any jobs. With me, after I quit 2 times, I'm full-fledged in the streets. And so this time when I got out, I knew I wanted to be a speaker. So when I seen on there, it was a telemarketing job. I rode the bus over there to the job. And while I'm talking about the story, I want to shout out Gene, because he was the first person when I got out this last time that gave me a chance, didn't judge me or anything. He gave me the second chance. He brought me in. And I walked in there. He said, man, he told me to read the script. I read the script. He said, man, you got a job, man. You start Monday, come in. He took me through the environment. It was a great work environment, and that set the tone for what I was about to build. So I want to give you a shout out to Gene, man. That was the greatest thing, was for you giving me that position. So I got this telemarketing job, and I'm making $11 an hour, and I'm getting paid every week, but I owe $6.99 in child support. So that's half of my check every time I get a check. But I knew this because I had a problems and a solution list when I got out this time. What the problems I was going to be facing, I had solutions for it. And so while I was working, I get off work and I started taking online life coaching courses. And my schedule was just like this. I get up, I ride the bus, go to work, get off at 3, get back to the halfway house around 5. I would take my life coaching, do my online life coaching courses. And then I will type up the books that I had, the novels that I had written while I was incarcerated. And I did that regimen for about 4 or 5 months. And then I got put on house arrest back home. So while I was on house arrest back home, I was just doing the same regimen, going to work. I ended up getting a sales associate job and interacting with people. It was another job I chose. I quit a good paying job for a battery factory to get into the sales because I want to be a speaker and I want to be a coach. So I need to know how to interact with people outside of interactions that I have with people inside institutions and in prison. And so I took that job and I was just building my company, hosting my own speaking engagements for free. But I would sell t-shirts and I would sell my books. That's how I would make extra money, because I knew I was going to need extra money with the child support and not making that much. And any other time I would revert it back to the streets. This time, this was my plan, was to make t-shirts, create a company, sell these books. And so that's what I did. And then I ended up moving away from home because every time I got out and went home, I went right back to the same neighborhood, same block. I was letting, that take me under every time. And so I moved away from home and I just started focusing in on the business and what I was trying to build. And during this time, I got another job working as a marketer and promoter inside the home and garden shows, Home Depot, Sam's Club, and stuff like that. And this was another job I chose because it was the same thing, speaking and interacting with people. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I talked to my mentor and he said, Cardell, you're not giving the people your life. He knew what I've been through. He knew my story. And he challenged me to write a book about my life and my story. And I wrote this book called Inmate the Inspiration. And that book took off for me. And I started getting notice from about my story. And I created this podcast called The Reentry Journey. And the reentry journey was highlighting those coming out of prison and their journeys to the point that they're at in their life. And so those two things was going on. But during this process, I always wanted to go back inside prison and run a program. And so I met a guy who ended up becoming my mentor, and he was formerly incarcerated, and he built his own program, and he went back and he had a program running inside of prison. And I never seen nobody that was formerly incarcerated built their own programs. I used to see them go through different avenues, and that let me know that let me know at the point I can do that. So I started building on the inside reentry academy. And then within 6-7 months of building that, during the time I was building it, I was on the federal speaking tour. When they came out with the First Step Act, first time the federal government had ever let formerly incarcerated people get a motivational speaking grant. That's what the grant was for. You had to be formerly incarcerated and motivational speaking. I was chosen to go on that tour and do that. And so I did these institutions at the same time I'm building this reentry academy. And within 6 to 8 months after me building the reentry academy, I got a contract with the state of Missouri, and I was on the inside of my program, running my program inside the state of Missouri. And then I end up, just from my work, from my content that I create, people start getting wind of me and seeing everything, and people reach out to me. And I got the virtual contract because I built the virtual side. Because I knew it allowed me to reach more institutions. So I built the virtual side, and I end up getting the contract out in Arizona. And then one day I just woke up and said, man, I want to put on a tour. I want to take a group of successful formerly incarcerated educators, and I want to go on this tour around the United States, host a full-day workshops inside the institutions, with the workshops consisting of a vision board, goal setting, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, credit repair, mental health and wellness, life skills, soft skills, and financial literacy. And I put together a team. People started coming together, and we launched the tour. We started the tour in March, and so far we done Missouri, we done Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee is our next stop. That's my journey. That's where I'm at. That's my story, all the way up from beginning up to this point. I appreciate you all having me, giving me the opportunity to share my story with you and to share my journey.
Can we give Cardell a big, gigantic round of applause? Cardell, thank you so much for sharing that. What an incredible story. I know that many of you guys have questions and comments on some of the things that he has said. I'm going to open it up here to the room. If anybody in this room have any questions or comments that you'd like to share with us tonight, I'm going to open it up to you, those of you who are in Casa Grande. Any questions and comments, please make sure you let Darby Buckley know. And then also want to open it up to those of you who are watching on Zoom or on Facebook Live. Any questions or comments you might have, make sure you just drop them in the chat. And I think that we're going to go immediately, Cardell, over to Nevada Department of Corrections inside Casa Grande. If you please come and step up, tell us your name. I know your name, but let the world know your name. And what is that question or comment that you might have for Cardell Sims? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Doing good.
Hi, Mr. Sims. My name is Nick Schwartz. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I just wanted to say thank you for coming out and speaking tonight. I appreciate how you spoke on increasing the self-efficacy, right? Your confidence in yourself, being able to set goals and achieve them. I just learned that phrase, self-efficacy, a couple months ago. I can't stop using it. I love it. But that's like belief in yourself, right? You put these goals in front of you, and you slowly achieve portions of them, and you realize your true potential. I've only been coasting through life at 10%, and I've been comfortable. And just through my incarceration, I've acknowledged how lazy I've been. Like the story you said about building up the man, seeing the world behind you in the beginning. I appreciate you hearing that hit home. And I just did. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. What's it called? You're setting goals and achieving them coming out of your incarceration sets a positive example for those after you, for those that are still incarcerated, for those in your community. They see someone that's been through it, comes out the other side and does even better. So have you seen anybody that has been within your circle kind of just following your footsteps after seeing such a positive role model?
Yeah, it's crazy you say that because when I started this mission, my mission was I got out of prison to show the people that was on my block and my the younger guys that was following the footprints, that it was a better way. I didn't expect to impact as many people that I did. I just wanted to show them that there was a different way than what we was doing. And a couple of them follow my lead. One, he's in human resources. He's doing a great job. And it amazes me every time I see how he's navigating the human resource space in the factories after he's been in prison. No one there ever would have thought that. That's kind of one of my biggest things. That's one of my biggest mentee, is just his progression that he has been making.
Yeah, no, I think it's crazy how interconnected everybody is, and how just a little bit of positivity and just you, again, being a good role model affects others around you. You know, I mean, like when my father went to prison for telemarketing, so as soon as you said telemarketing, I was like, oh, be careful with that one. But it's a little bit.
Man, that's crazy.
But it's just everybody's interconnected, and just being that light in life just takes a little bit of the darkness away from everybody else. So thank you again.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Thank you so much.
I
Can we
do
give
wanna
him a
say
hand for
something
that?
about the
Mrs. Sims, go ahead. I'm sorry, you were responding.
Hi. Hi, how are you this evening?
how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, thank you. You said some really wonderful, amazing things, super encouraging. I love the potato story, I really do, that was wonderful. I want to ask you again about your book. You said that it was Inmate to Inspiration, is that correct?
Yes, Inmate to Inspiration.
And
Yeah, it's a 3-section book actually. The first section, it shares my story. The second section is just some keys to success that I use. Not saying that these are these things that I use. And the third section is reentry tip. I wrote the book really specifically for those on the inside, and created a sponsorship program that started pushing the books on the inside as well.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. I really hope that I get to read it. I think that I will. I also want to ask you about the motivational speakers grants that you spoke about for formerly incarcerated. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's crazy for the content that I create and put out through social media outlets. I didn't know anything about the grant. Somebody actually hit me up, asked me would I like to be considered as one of the speakers for the grant if they get it, and I told them yes. And it was a perfect opportunity for me because it allowed me to go. I had spoken maybe once or twice inside institutions prior to this because I was just getting off federal probation, and it was just perfect timing. So I went to 6 different institutions. They brought us in. They paid for it. The pay for the flights, the room, the board, they paid for everything, and even the salary came along with it for doing it. And it was great, and it was a great experience, especially coming. I'm just getting off federal probation, and I got chosen to be one of them.
Right. And so you can get grants to be a motivational speaker? You can.
Yeah, that was the specific grant was based around formerly incarcerated motivational speakers. That was the grant. So everyone who was involved with that grant, whether you was a company that got the grant, you had to hire formerly incarcerated motivational speakers, or I know a couple of people that they had their own companies that got the grant, and they was formerly incarcerated motivational speakers as well.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Well, it's nice to meet you. Thank you.
Can we give her a big
Thank you.
hand for
Thank
that?
you as
Thank
well.
you so very, very much. So Cardell, I want to jump in here for a second. I see somebody over in Casa Grande. Again, we want to open it up for everybody here in the room. I know that you do some great work in Missouri. We have visited Missouri Department of Corrections over the years, and I think that Missouri Department of Corrections is one of the top Department of Corrections in the country. And I know that you had an opportunity to go in and speak recently to Semin. Can you tell us about that program and what it was that you were doing there?
So the program that I run in Missouri, I go into Missouri prisons twice a week. And it's a 26-week program that I run on the Inside Reentry Academy. I go in there and we do personal development. I have a workbook I put together, and it's over knowing everything that about you and everything about your reentry. Like today, I had a class today actually, and today is the section, and we towards the end of the class, so we're working on reentry slash recovery plans. And so it's everything that you need to know about your emotional side of you and how you're going to deal with it, and what's your character traits that you can't allow to or that will possibly disrupt you and send you back. So we do personal development, needs, wants, goals, attitude, resilience, consistency. That's why I was like, what the first guy was saying about setting the goals. That's why I teach in my classes, that building that confidence. A lot of people say, how do you get the confidence? You get the confidence for setting goals. Each and every goal that you accomplish, and the more and more goals that you accomplish, your confidence start building up more and more. And it's really not about the bigger goals. It's about the smaller goals that you're setting for yourself, the daily goals. Once you start building the confidence off those smaller goals, then you're able to start building bigger goals. And so that's why I'm really set on goal setting and vision board and things like that. So yeah, I run that prison inside of Missouri. That's the program that I run inside Missouri. Like I said, I go in there 2 times a week, and we dig into self.
That is so good. Like I said, we spend a lot of time in Missouri. We go into Southeast Correctional Facility. Like I said, it's one of the best that I have ever seen. And we visit that prison maybe 3-4 times a year. So the next time I'm in Missouri, I am going to look you up. Very inspirational. Yes.
You went down there. You went down there in the Boo Hill.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Charleston. Hey, I'm going to just digress here for a minute. The people in Missouri took me to this restaurant where people were throwing bread across the restaurant. You know what I'm talking about?
You went to Lambert's.
Yeah, I went to Lambert's, man. I thought the people were trying to attack me. They're throwing bread across the restaurant. But anyway, we'll open it up. Any other questions or comments that we might have? I'm going to make my way here in the room. Chaplain Finney, please tell us that question or comment you might have for Mr. Sims.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Mr. Sims, for your motivational talk. It's very inspirational. Well, I just like to start off by just, as a chaplain, blessing you in the name of Jesus, that the Lord would prosper you in all of your future endeavors and present endeavors. I very much like the story of that you started with regarding the puzzle. If you put the man together, then the world will come together with him. That's really a great story. My question is, I'm very interested in the nuts and bolts of how things work. And you talked about this this motivational tour that you're doing with other gentlemen who are motivational speakers. It makes me think of the Kings of Comedy, where you had all of these superstar comedians who had gotten together to do a tour around the country. But in your case, I would call you all the Kings of Redemption. So, so that's but it's this very exciting concept that you put together there. My question is, how did you go about choosing the other motivational speakers, and how did you go about booking it and organizing the tour? That's my question, sir. Thank you.
Okay, now this might sound kind of crazy to some, but this is how I operate. I operate by the code of commit first and figure it out on the journey. And so this was December 23rd, 2022. I woke up and I just had 100 correctional institutions just kept flashing in my mind. And I tried to put it off, but it just kept coming back. So I took it as that God was telling me something. So when you feel like God is telling you something, you sit still for a minute and you try to, listen to what he's telling you. And what I got out of it, that he wants me to do a 100 correctional institution tour across the country. And I thought about it for a day, and then I was like, how am I gonna make this possible? And so I put it on social media. I'm thinking about doing a 100 correctional institution tour, 4-day workshops learning these subjects. And then people that I was been networking with that's formerly incarcerated over the years, been on their podcast or they've been on my podcast, and we've been watching each other work. We've been watching each other grind from the bottom all the way up to the point where we got to where we are today. They started hitting me up, and none of them said anything about getting paid. They just said, let's go do the work. They didn't ask about how we was getting paid and none of that. They said, let's go do the work. And so I took January. I started just sending out email blasts to wardens with a landing page and telling them about the tour. Go to the landing page if you want to be added to the list, your institution, add your institution. And people started signing up. Then I just started really, my biggest strength is social media marketing, pushing content. So I just started pushing the content about the tour. And a lot of people started seeing it and hitting me up, and institutions and all kind of people just wanted to be a part. But I only stuck with those that I've been knowing and been watching grinding over the years on their way up like I did and didn't ask. So we put together this team, and we just started doing institutions. And the crazy part is, we are, like I was talking about faith earlier. This is my biggest faith test, because 6 months ago, even though I built these programs, I wasn't monetizing off of them the way I should be, and I was still working. I was working at FedEx Express at this time, and so I know my purpose. God told me my purpose. And so this faith was me jumping out on faith on my purpose, on my purpose. And we all funding this out our pocket. We don't have no grant for this tour or nothing. We all been funding this out our own pockets. That's how dedicated and we are to the tour. And that's how I knew who I wanted to go with, because when I first started the idea, and this, like I said, this idea just started at the end of December. We just started the tour March 6th through the 10th was our first week. And I just put all the logistics together, just learning in the process, connecting with institutions or controllers of institutions and seeing if they got institutions that they would like to put on the list. And we got, God opened the way for us to get connected to the institutions. And every step from the point that I announced the tour, God has just been opening up doors, whether it's financial doors and things like that. So I've really been walking out on faith on that. And the people that I chose to was the ones that I've been watching grind over the years, and they wanted to get on and they didn't ask about no pay or nothing. And I told them how I was going to go, how we was going to have to do it. And they said, let's go.
Man, that is outstanding. Give them a hand for that, please. Questions or comments that you might have for Mr. Cardell Sims? And I think we'll go back over to Casa Grande. Step up, tell us your name, and what is that question or comment that you might have for Mr. Sims?
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Eckford, and the question I have for you, Mr. Sims, is it seems like patience was a big part of your journey. You know, I mean, I know you didn't touch on it very much, but I could just tell that it was in there. And I just wanted to see if you could tell us how patience and faith played that part in your journey.
Great question.
Oh, yeah, man. You got to have the patience. I remind myself every day, trust the process. This is part of the process. This is part of the process. When I go through something, this is the part that if I want it, you got to go through the process. So I learned patience in prison, being on lockdowns and everything like that. So the hardest part of this, when it came to the patience and trust in the process, was stepping back at times, not trying to control the process. But yeah, every day I always tell myself, this is part of the process. This is part of the process. And I trust the process.
Thank you. Thank you
That
very much.
is a great question. You know, I want to jump in here while we're waiting for some more questions and comments, because I'm a big person on affirmations. You know, the Bible says that there's life and death in the power of the tongue, and those who speak of it will eat of his fruit. And the book of James says that the tongue is like the rudder of a ship. Whichever way the rudder goes, so goes the ship. In other words, whichever way my tongue goes, so goes my life. And it was something very powerful that you said, that you will wake up every morning while you're incarcerated and kept reminding yourself that you were greater than the situation that you're in. Right? How powerful is
Yeah.
that, right? Inside or outside, if we wake up every morning, we're facing certain challenges, and we just let those words flow out of our mouth that regardless whatever it is, God is in control, and I am greater than the situation that I'm in. Let's see, maybe you could share with us some of the other affirmations that you may have been able to, speak to yourself over the years.
Oh, man, I got a lot of them. I used to wake up every morning and do affirmations. When I first got out, do affirmation videos on social media to the point where I end up writing a book, affirmation books. One of my books is an affirmation book called I Can, I Will, I Do, I Am. Man, it's so many. My past does not define nor defeat me. That's one. I am amazing. That's another one. I am who God wanted me to be and made me to be.
That's right.
That's another one. I am the ruler of my destination. That's another one. I could manifest my vision. That's another one. Like it's a lot of them that I use.
Right.
I used to like I said, I created a book off the affirmations that I used to get up and do videos about in the morning time when I first got on.
Okay. Well, that is awesome. And this is what I'm going to do, Darby, and this is going to be off of your recommendation. I know that you have another book out there, Hustle, Attitude, Vision, and Education, that we can get on Amazon, or you can head over to cardellsims.com and take a look at those books. So I'm going to go off of your recommendation. I'm going to ask my staff member, Darby Buckley, who's inside Casa Grande right now. Darby, I want you to get a sign-up sheet for people that are inside Casa Grande right now. And then whatever book that Mr. Sim tells us at the end of the night, that I'm going to purchase those books, and we're going to send them into Casa Grande to whoever signs up on that for that list. But right now, I'm going to open it back up.
Wow.
Yes, I
appreciate that.
yes, absolutely. And I'm hoping that everybody in there will want it. And Darby, get that sign-up sheet. And again, Mr. Simmons is going to be offer your recommendation. But any other books that Mr. Sims has, you can get it. Go check them out at cardellsims.com. Any other questions or comments in Casa Grande chat? Is anybody on Facebook or in the chat room? Anyone else over at Casa Grande? Or perhaps there's someone in the room, something that Mr. Sims dropped in here that kind of resonated with you. Yes, sir. Give me 1 second. Tell us your name. Look right over there in the camera right there. Tell us your name and what is that question or comment you have for Mr. Sims?
Yeah, it's Mr. Sims. My name's Chaplain Anthony. I'm with Ministers of Faith here along with other chaplains. When you were sitting there and I was listening to what you were saying, and we talk about what the Lord has done in your life, it really resonate with not myself, but I think a lot of us, because when you bring the affirmation and the glory and the Lord and bring him into your presence, in your realm, you yourself will prosper. But when I think about a lot of this stuff, I always start to read in the Proverbs, and I start to think about what Solomon said. And he will always inspire you. Anything that you've done, he always talks about the wise. He talks about anything. He says, bring them into your realm. When you bring that into your realm, you're going to prosper more, because the Lord is always there, and his words are never void. And you will always prosper as soon as you find out in your own self. But you know what? I think you're doing a very pretty good job. An awesome God too. And always remember who's always in
control. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Yes. Give him a hand for that, man. That is awesome. Awesome and amazing. Questions, comments that you might have for Mr. Sims. Don't be shy. Step up. You got an expert here. that is here to answer these questions. I had something else that I wanted to. You said you're greater than your situation. That's very, very powerful. But the other book of affirmations that you said, I can, I do, I will, I am. Is that one of the books that you have available?
Yeah, that's one of the books I have available as well. That's the affirmation book. It's like I said, it's called I Can, I Will, I Do, I Am, Affirmations for Transformation. These are affirmations that I was using while I was incarcerated. So you get the affirmation, the meaning behind the affirmation, and you might get a story that represents to the affirmation that I use. Affirmations are huge for me.
Yeah.
I still use them to this day. Vision boards are huge for me. I still use them to this day. I have to have a vision, and I have to constantly not remind myself, but continually knowing what I'm capable of, what's inside of me, that allows me to do this. It allows me to tap into these things and the guidance. It's just like the affirmations, and it's just like God is saying this is the completion of it. Every time I never went wrong with this system. I never went wrong with the vision board and affirmation. From ever since I've started using them. And people say, well, how does it work? I can't really tell you how it works. I just know that it works. God allows it to work. That's the only answer I can come. That's the only answer I can come up with. But yeah, affirmations are a big part of my life.
All right, that is awesome. We're gonna go online. We have someone that is watching online, and what she wanted to know, my sister Christine, she said, if you could turn back the hands of time, what age would you go back to, and what would you say at that moment to motivate yourself?
I would go back probably to 13, 14 years old when I ain't going to say when it was confirmed that my mother was on drugs, in a sense. Reason why I say that, because after a few years, you get your teenage years, you begin to notice things. Christmas just wasn't as big as it was last year. You start noticing things, and then at 14, I got an incident, and which kind of confirmed what the suspicion was. And I would go back and tell myself, man, this is my favorite saying. I always go, every time I go into institutions and I speak and I talk to the guys, I always tell them this, and I would tell myself this: don't let the limitations of your background reduce the height of your potential. Even though and that you're not a product in your environment. That's what I would tell myself. Because that's the point at life when I started taking on that product of my environment mentality. I'm a product of my environment, and this is what life is going to be. And that's what I would tell myself at 14 years old. Don't let the limitations of your background reduce the height of your potential. You're not a product of your environment.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Give him a hand for that. Cardell, the other thing that I love about what it is that you're doing, and a part of your story, you spoke a lot about being in prison and studying and learning and growing, right? And those are some of the things that I love to do, being able to go back into the institutions that we work here in the state of Nevada. And, I tell people that during that time, you could use every waking moment of the time, because that's what it sounds like you did, to make sure that you're preparing yourself for the day that you walked out of that gate. I tell people, when I was in prison, in my mind and in my spirit, I'm behind 50-foot walls, but I wasn't in prison. I was in Bible college, right? And I was reading my word and I'm studying. It sounded like you did the same thing, rattling off the books that you've read. And I think that people that are in prison right now, that are watching you right now, and they could take those lessons, right, while they're still incarcerated. I don't care if you're inside the Nevada Department of Corrections, or you're watching inside the Clark County Detention Center, or in the city of Las Vegas Detention Center. If you begin to just read and study and use that time while you're incarcerated to better prepare yourself when you walk outside the gate. This way, prison could be known for something else other than what it's known for today. That people begin to walk out of there just giants inside the community, right? And I have this dream of working inside the prison system so that when people begin to come out, they will be so sharp and so educated. You know how companies send headhunters looking for people, right? Because they're getting the brightest, sharpest people when they're coming out of college. I have a vision to be able to do that while we're in prison, right? That the sharpest, brightest minds in our country are going to be the men and women who are coming home from the prison system ready to go. Questions, comments that you might have for Mr. Sims as we come into the quarter of the hour? Anything that he said that has resonated with you? I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? Can you just rattle off some of the other books, those books that you read? Because a lot of the books that you read are some of the books that I read too. And I just really want the men and women that are in prison right now to grab a hold of that and see the power in that.
One of the books I read was called Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav.
Yeah.
It's one of them Oprah bestsellers. I actually got the 25th year edition, and this book is based on your intentions. When it starts, it's a big book, but the overall thing is your intentions.
Right.
In your movement, in your actions, your intentions in your heart, your intentions in your emotions, your intentions, just every aspect of your intentions, and how you can subconsciously you can subconsciously cause the situation through the intentions and really not understand it. If you can understand what I'm saying.
Right.
But that was the Seed of the Soul. It was about intentions. I read the Brian Tracy book on how to set SMART goals. I didn't know nothing about how to set goals or anything like that. I was one of the I'm going to do this type of person. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, and never did nothing. On the simple fact, I just never knew how to set goals.
Yes.
And so when I read the book by Brian Tracy on how to set goals, SMART goals, that really helped me out a lot. Because now I was going throughout my day while incarcerated, setting these little SMART goals, whether it was, I'm going to read 2 pages of this, I'm going to exercise at this time, and started building a routine. And I'm, and just started setting goals and started checking off the goals that I accomplished throughout the days and throughout the week and then throughout the month. Another great book I read was called Super Rich by Russell Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about being super rich with your attitude.
That is so good.
Being super rich with self, and don't get caught up on money and material things and stuff like that, but find that inner peace and that calmness with yourself. Another book I read is called How to Hustle to Win. And it's a notorious book in the prison system. Because it spoke my terms and my language on business, how to turn simple ideas into business. And I knew I wanted to be a business owner because that was one of the things on my vision board. I wanted to be a business owner. And so this book kind of it gave me sparked ideas and things like that. And then from reading that book, it briefly talked about different business corporations, LLCs, nonprofits, stuff like that. So that book turned me on to getting a business book and learning all about business formation and business structures. And then that led to me writing somebody on the outside or sending an email saying, can you send how to start a nonprofit, how to start an LLC. Can you send that paperwork in to me so I can practice filling these out so I know how to do it. Another book I read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That book helped me understand the rat race. It helped me understand, one of the biggest problems as far as knowing that just the more money you make don't mean the more money you spend. It taught me about investing in things. The 4 quadrants, it taught me that. But man, I read so many. Contagious taught me about business, you know what I'm saying, and marketing, how to market, you know, and things like that, and what to use. Um, Knowledge of self. Read a book called Knowledge of Self and Science of Self. Just taught me about self. As above, so within, so to speak. Yeah, man, I read a lot of books.
Yeah. And that is so good. So let me just back up so everybody can wrap their mind around exactly what it is that you're saying, right? So you did all of this while you were in prison, right? Understanding the
Yes.
principles of goal setting, and you were setting goals in prison, right? Learning about
Yes.
business, right? Stepping away from the card tables and playing spades and whatever else it is that they're doing. You read in prison books about business. So not only do you have a nonprofit on the inside, Reentry Academy, but you also have a for-profit business. Is that correct? Tell us about the business that you
Exactly.
have.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did. Um, I knew I was going to start a nonprofit. And my nonprofit is called the North Organization. I'm from the north side of the city. When I grew up, it was very segregated. All the blacks stayed on the north side, all the whites stayed across the tracks. All the stores in my area was across the track. So you had to get in the race fights going to the grocery store. So I grew up on the north. But as I got older in teenage years and involved in the gangs and stuff, we was more fighting each other and tearing up the neighborhood. So when I got out, I knew I was going to build an organization that was geared towards rebuilding the neighborhood that I helped destroy out there in the streets. From setting up crack houses to watching some of the crack houses that we had tore down, not there no more. It's all land. Nobody's building on it. It's like the neighborhood is just it's going to shambles. So I created a nonprofit to help bring the value back into the neighborhood. And one of the programs in that nonprofit is on the Inside Reentry Academy. I wanted to be able to go in and work on those. And like I said, with personal development and starting on the inside, you know, putting them up on the books that I read, putting up on the techniques that I use, and what it's going to take, and knowing it firsthand. So that's a program of the North organizations. We do other programs. We got a arts program, Spark the Heart for the arts program for the youth. We're getting them involved in certain type of arts, drawing, violin, piano lessons, and things of that nature. So we had different programs, community events, and stuff that I get involved with. And I knew I was going to do that coming out of prison. That was one of my visions. That was one of my goals. And I created that. But I also had to speak inside of the company and the reentry code consultant and the second chance employee program with my for-profit. And that all came from all the education and reading and stuff that I did on the inside. I had expectations for myself every day. It's three things I had to do during this last incarceration. I had to challenge a lot of beliefs. I had to prioritize a lot of my values and what I valued. And then I also had to have expectations for myself. So like the beliefs I challenged, like I said, was one of them was a product of my environment. I had to challenge to really look at. It was people from my environment that made it out, went through the same hardships. I know a girl that she growing up, she faced the same hardships I did, maybe even a little more. She never resorted to drugs or gang banging and nothing like that. She was educating herself and she was applying these principles because she knew what she wanted to be. And now she owns her own law firm, coming from the same block that I came from. And we was basically neighbors. And so once I realized that, like, she ain't a product of her environment, she made it out. She didn't take the criminal route. That like, you know, I'm not a product of my environment. So I had to challenge that belief and crush that belief. And it was other beliefs I had to challenge as well. And then prioritizing my values. When I was in the streets, that's all I valued. I valued everything that came into the streets. The drugs, the guns, the whole street, like the whole play. I put that in front of my family, in front of my children. I'm not sitting here and fake. Like I didn't. Like that's what I did. I was fully invested in the streets. And that's what I valued. So I had to reconstruct everything that I valued. I had to start valuing God.
Mm,
I had to value myself.
yes.
I knew if I didn't value myself, I wasn't going to value nothing else. If I didn't value my freedom, I wouldn't value nothing else. So I just started valuing these little things throughout my life, and started prioritizing, because I had, as far as base values, I had great values.
That's right.
I just was exercising those values in the wrong fashion. I was consistent. I was dedicated to the block. I'd be there every day, all day. I was loyal to those that was hustling with me and all that. I was just using these values in the wrong form of fashion.
Right.
And then I had to start having expectations for myself. Prior to all this, only expectations I had for myself was waking up every day, going to the block to sell crack. That was the only expectations that I had for myself. When I started reading, started educating myself, and started being able to paint a vision and putting everything together, my expectations changed. I started having different expectations. So when I woke up with a purpose, and I attacked my day throughout the purpose, because I got expectations. And with them expectations, I just didn't allow anybody around me, and I just didn't get involved in any old circle, and I'm the same way now. My daily expectations, I just don't allow just know anybody around me, because I'm building something. And if I don't have them expectations for myself, it would allow me to surround myself with people who don't have my best interest at hand and destroy what I'm doing.
Man, that is so awesome. Can you give him another hand for that? That belief system thing, man, is so very important. I had one of my mentors that were in prison. He was down 35 years, and this is a guy who really came alongside of me, right? And he challenged me one time to sit down and spend the entire weekend, and he asked me to take everything that I believed, right, my beliefs. He said, put them down here on the table, right? Are you man enough to take all these beliefs that you come up with, put them down on the table? And he said, pick them up one by one and ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Right? Where did this thing that you have believed, where did this come from? And then the second question, is it the truth? Right? You take all those beliefs that you've developed in that belief system, where did this come from? And is it the truth? And it was one of the most powerfulest, life-changing things that I had ever been through, right? So we coming down to the bottom of the hour. We want to respect his time. I know he's on that central time. Any other questions or comments that we might have for Mr. Sims? He's back in the room one more time. Anybody over Casa Grande? No, I didn't ask you to clap. Follow the rules. See, that's bad institutional behavior. You're not following the rules. We didn't come back over here in the room.
Wardell,
Yes.
you made a mention, and it really caught my attention again on this. I say it's more like what you were doing when you were growing up and becoming how you ended up in prison. But actually, in a sense, when I'm sitting here listening to you talk, I was thinking more of down the line of genealogical curses, because what you went up against and you did, not only in yourself, but with God and everything that we have and the ability, when you break that, when you break those curses in your family and the people that are with you and they're watching, especially the younger ones, and they are watching you. And that's the thing, because a lot of us have those alcohol, drugs, addictions, whatever it is in our lives. But you made a point there when you said that, but you broke them. And that means a lot. And I condemn you for that.
That is so good. Man, I thought he was going to start.
I appreciate it.
I thought he was going to start break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. Hey, listen, Cardell, man, I want to thank you so much for carving out this time to spend it with us. I also want to thank you for what it is that you're doing out there in your community, being able to turn right back around and build up the community that you admittedly had once destroyed. I believe that the work that you're doing is going to pay big dividends, not only in the lives of the people that you're going to impact, but also God is smiling at you, man. So thank you so very, very much for that. Keep up the good work. Darby, oh yeah, if you can tell us, what is that book? What is that book that we can
the book I recommend is Hustle, Attitude, Vision, and Education.
Hustle,
The keys to
Attitude?
tapping into your human potential and performance.
That is good. What are some of the things that they're going to learn in that book?
So the base things is hustle is doing, attitude is choosing, vision is seeing, and education is knowing. It's going to take a mixture of them things to be able to do what you really want to do when you get out. You got to have the right attitude for one. You got to have that attitude that you can. I am capable into making that change. I am capable of becoming who I want to become. I am capable of being great. It goes back to them affirmations. That builds that attitude. That's that attitude you got to have. If you the attitude that's going to conquer all them beliefs, like you was talking about, writing them beliefs down. Is it true? And stuff like that. That's you got to have the attitude that you can, a positive mental attitude. Next, the attitude is going to lead you to educating yourself, reading, understanding. Through education, your vision widens. Your vision grows through education. You got to not just have a vision, but you want to become a visionary. You want to be able to see everything all the way through, step by step, and be able to play it back. And then the most important is the hustle. You got to outwork everyone. You got to be willing to get up earlier. You know what I'm saying? Stay up late. You got to be willing to do what it takes, you know, the right way, step after step, while trusting the process and to manifesting your vision to be the boss of your mission. That's what that book is all about.
Man, that is so good, man. We are going to get it and get it on the way. You know what I think about? There are a lot of really great hustlers that are in prison and got great at hustling, right? That's what they, you know, we are in the streets, we hustle. Listen, we never lose the hustle. We change the game, right? The hustle is already in us, right? Getting up in the morning, grinding. Y'all know the business, right? Right? Just natural born hustlers. We were just hustling the wrong thing, right? But when we start hustling ways to improve the caliber of how we're going to live the rest of this life, right? We begin hustling ways to how we can build up generational wealth the right way. We become hustlers. And it was something else that you said to Cardell. Can you put him back up on there? And he said that he when he was reading and everything like that, right? And what was the name of the book that you said was Russell Simmons, right? The Russell Simmons book, Super Rich, right? Right, the super rich, but not the super rich in the money, right? Right? It's the super rich in all the other things that people sometimes, right? You know, it's a misunderstanding of that, right? And listen, I want everybody in this room to take this the right way, right? Because when I went to prison, I went to Bible college, I came home a billionaire. Are you following me? Does that make sense? Because I was so spiritually rich. I was a billionaire, right? But anyway, thank you so very, very much. I want to talk to you guys over in Casa Grande right now because we're coming down to the bottom of the hour. Tomorrow, we are going to be there at Casa Grande. And for those of you who may be there, you're still looking for employment. Some of you may have gotten a job that you may be underemployed, right? Some of you may be working, full time right now. I am bringing in 6 vocational training schools to come and see you tonight. So we got an HVAC, we have the CDL school, we got plumbing, I got the College of Southern Nevada, and several moving forward where they do warehouse logistics and medical calling and billing. I'm bringing them in there to you. And if there's a vocational training that you would like to pursue above and beyond just the job to be able to get a career, I'm bringing them in there. And if you want to do that, then Hope for Prisons is going to pay for that for you, right? The only thing is going to cost you your time, effort, and energy and a burning desire to get to a place to when you get out of prison, we want to move you to a place where you're going to be earning a sustainable wage. So we will see you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Make sure when you get back to your units, you let everybody up in there know. And this is regardless of whether they enroll the Hope for Prisoners or not. It's a month of second chances. We want to bless the socks off some people. And I can't think of any better way but to be able to set them up for success for their future. I want everybody to know that on Friday, April the 28th, over at the headquarters of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, we are graduating 49 men and women who are recently released and ready to launch them on their second chance at life. So please join us, 400 South Martin Luther King Boulevard, 4:30 p.m. We are having my dear friend is getting on a plane and flying all the way here from New York. That's my dear friend, Mr. Glenn Martin, a formerly incarcerated person who is a multi-millionaire right now, because not only the ways that he has given back in the community, but he's like flipping real estate and everything like that. We're very honored that he's taking the time out to fly out here to speak at that graduation. So April 28th, 4:30 p.m. over at the headquarters of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Please come out and join us. It's a second chance month celebration. Cardell, we want to say thank you very, very much, my friend. We're going to keep you on the short list. And in addition to that, the next time I come to Missouri, I'm going to make sure that we go to that restaurant. We're going to throw bread at each other, if that's okay with you. Want to say good night to our friends over at the Clark County Detention Center, the City of Las Vegas Detention Center, also Nevada Department of Corrections, and those joining on Facebook Live. Thank you so very, very much. God bless you, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday night.